Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines. I'm with Living the One Light. All right. In this video, I am going to talk about a few different things, but primarily I'm going to focus on the upcoming very, very significant Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which is happening on April 20th, 2024. And before I start, I want to say I'm going to be holding a free gathering the day before that conjunction on April 19th, 2024. That's a Friday. It's going to be live, but it's also going to be recorded. It's going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific. It'll be a 90-minute gathering. And again, please sign up. Please share with anyone and everyone who you think might benefit. You can be there live, and you also can enjoy the recording as long as you want. So sign up whether or not you can be there live. I would love to have you. And I'll say more about that in a second. So first, though, the day I am recording this is April 1st, 2024. And so today is really significant for a number of reasons. Well, two main reasons. One is we're now at the midpoint between the two eclipses of this eclipse season. So we had the first eclipse on March 25th, a week ago, and then we're having the second eclipse on April 8th, which is a week from today. And the other thing that's happening today is that Mercury is going retrograde. So as of this moment, when I'm recording this, it hasn't quite precisely gone retrograde, but it's going retrograde this afternoon, Pacific time. By the time you hear this video, probably it will be retrograde. Anyway, so as I talked about, I did a whole video just on the Mercury retrograde, which I definitely recommend you go back and watch because, and I also talked about this in my eclipse workshop, which also I highly recommend if you want to access that. I'll put all those links here. Okay, but in both of those, I talk about how in any retrograde, with a couple exceptions sometimes, like with Pluto, typically there are 3 phases to a retrograde, any retrograde. Sometimes with Pluto, for example, there are 5 actually, but we're focusing on Mercury here, so let's talk about 3. So we have been in the first phase of the Mercury retrograde, which is that the first phase is when Mercury goes along the road it's going to go on for a second time once it is retrograde, right? Most people, when they're talking about a retrograde, only talk about the time when the planet is actually retrograde, which is starting today. But the retrograde period is actually phase 2 of 3. So when we're only focused on the retrograde time, we're actually missing 2/3 of the point, and even more than that, actually, because then there's the reverberations of the whole retrograde too. It doesn't just end, even when phase 3 ends. But I just want to name that for those of you who are tracking these 3 phases of this Mercury retrograde, which ties together this whole eclipse season, today, April 1st, is the day it goes retrograde and starts the phase 2. So again, go back and watch the Mercury retrograde video if you want to hear more about the 3 phases and all of that. Or get the eclipse workshop where I go much, much more into depth with it. Okay. So, but what I want to talk about in this video primarily is something that has been coming through in my praying yesterday and then this morning very, very strongly. So strongly. Okay. So what I have been getting shown and what I'm feeling is that, yes, absolutely, of course, these eclipses are massive, especially the second one, the April 8th one is just like, wow, right? And here's what clicked for me yesterday, and then even more today. As I, I'm moving through these energies, and we're all moving through them, what dawned on me, what I was shown was, so how to put this in human words. It's like the eclipses are energetically basically setting us up, preparing us, laying energetic groundwork for the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And I guess it's not surprising because first comes the eclipses, then comes the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. But it didn't fully click for me how and why. Okay. So, and I think obviously this is different for everybody, so if this doesn't resonate for you, don't worry about it. Just let it go. Not attached to it being the ultimate truth. It's just the truth that feels true for me and I'm being asked to share. So that's always the case for me. Please, please, please listen to your own knowing and your own truth. Okay, so but what I'm being asked to share is when we're in any eclipse time, as I've talked about in my eclipse videos also, and in the eclipse workshop, go back and watch any of those. Eclipses are times when we're really held to make, pretty radical shifts and let go on pretty profound levels, and then come into a new energetic framework or even structure. And so I talked a lot about this in my solar eclipse video. Also, the role that I feel like the first eclipse was a full moon with the moon on the south node in Libra, the sun on the north node in Aries. And so what I was feeling in that last week was that eclipse was energetically like pulling us into the polarities, further and further into the polarities, like a rubber band would, because the moon is on one node, the sun is on the other node. And so the nodes can be kind of like energetically like two hands holding space for that sun and that moon. And therefore the polarities, which are highlighted by the sun and the moon, the polarity of Libra and Aries. And then as that full moon released, and now we're in between the two eclipses, and we're moving toward the second eclipse, which is going to be a new moon in Aries on the north node. And again, go back to that solar eclipse video to hear me talk about this for an entire hour. It feels to me like it's like the full moon eclipse was two hands holding the polarities apart like a rubber band, and now it released, and now it's snapping into the point. We're waning into the new moon on the north node, which is all about newness, newness that's in support of our soul intention, why we're here. And coming into that wholeness and that oneness that is ourselves. Okay. And then there's so much more there that I talk about again in that solar eclipse video, with Ceres and Estrella, and there's just lots of other stuff going on there. But the point here is that then what comes 12 days later, but it's already built, I mean, it's already really, the energetic is here already, is this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happening on April 20th at 21 degrees of Taurus. Okay, so this is what I really want to talk about in this video. So once we have the new moon eclipse on April 8th, and we kind of like snap into that newness, that oneness, and it like sets the stage for us to come into the wholeness that is ourselves, and start new, start fresh from that healing place in ourselves. Then what really comes alive for me next, and it's like, seems like maybe the real actual point, is that the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which is, exact 12 days later, but again, it's holding this, I want to say it's not exactly it's the energetic of it is holding a vibration through this whole time. It's been the vibration of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction I've been feeling actually since quite a while, since last November or something. It's been present for me for months. But it's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And what clicked for me finally yesterday was, oh, wow. I think the point here, or at least one point that the spirit world is asking me to really convey, is that this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is supporting us to come into the ultimate reality of ourselves as really the divine song that we are, and the divine tuning fork that we are. I mean, we're this divine tuning forks, but the point of being a divine tuning fork ultimately is that we are a divine song. All right, so let me break that down a little bit. And I'll back up, and I want to mention, let's see, I happen to have it right here. Yeah, I do. Is it happen to be sitting here? Yes, it is. Okay, so in this book that I channeled in 2019, Gaia Speaks, if you notice the subtitle, it's called "You Are a Star, a Song, a Medicine. Remember with me." Okay. So, and that book actually, so weird, the weird way things work. About, let's see, 2 weeks ago, I got a notice from Amazon saying that Gaia Speaks, and only Gaia Speaks out of all of my books, only Gaia Speaks was eligible to be converted into an Audible book. So it took me about 5 minutes, and I converted it into an Audible book. So it's now available on Audible as an audiobook on Amazon, if that happens to call to you. And for whatever reason, none of my other books were eligible for that, which I find really interesting. So it's meant to be ready and available as an audiobook. If you happen to subscribe to Audible, it's free, because I clicked on the thing to make it free for you if you happen to be part of that program. If you're not part of the program, it's also not very expensive. So if that calls to you, it's available as a paperback, it's available as Kindle, it's available on my website to download as a PDF, and it's also now available as an audiobook. So for whatever reason, it's meant to be there. And the point of it is about Gaia really talking about the fact that we are ultimately divine tuning forks, and we are divine songs. Literally everything is, right? And the other thing that she talks about, so it's channeled. These, the first three books, three of my books are channeled. Okay, so Gaia Speaks is channeled, and it's Gaia speaking. Gaia Speaks. Okay. So what she really talks about in there, which is, I'm just like, it's just fascinating to me how this works, because I didn't plan these books. I didn't write them. Anyway, it's so relevant suddenly to this moment. I don't know how this works, but anyway, just along for the ride. Yeah, so what she talks about in there is how we are these divine tuning forks. And as we have had lifetimes, both this lifetime and other lifetimes, other existences throughout time and space and existence, it's as though this divine tuning fork that is us has gotten like dirt and gunk stuck to it, because of traumas and stories of, whatever we've experienced in these lifetimes and these incarnations, etc. And so what she says, this is channeled in 2019, but it's always relevant, but it's suddenly like supremely relevant in this moment, is that what we're really being called to do and asked to do, and now here in 2024, massively supported to do by the cosmic happenings, in particular this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, is to, again, if you imagine ourselves as this tuning fork, to basically shake off, release all the gunk, all the dirt, anything that's gotten stuck to this divine tuning fork that is ourselves. Because what is needed of us on the ultimate level, and really I even feel grief in my body and myself saying this, because it feels like the grief of source, of the spirit world saying, please, like, you're not here to walk around as a tuning fork filled with dirt. Like, you're here to be the tuning fork that is like purely, beautifully you. And it's okay. You don't need to feel guilty if there's still dirt. I mean, we're humans, right? So we all have stuff. But the point is that at this moment now, especially as we're moving into this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, we are being so held and so supremely supported to release that stuff and to come into that ultimate divine tuning fork that is truly, truly us. So again, this is what is said in Gaia Speaks, so that when, the divine can basically strike the tuning fork that is us, and then our divine song can sing through existence. Yeah. It's like, it's just so true. So, okay, I'll say a little bit more about that to break it down a little more in a second. But again, so the point, so certainly if the Gaia Speaks calls to you, it's available and, not very expensive. So please access it if you like. Actually, the Kindle version is free also if you happen to subscribe to Kindle. Yeah. But anyway, on my website also, it's just, anyway, it's there if you want it. Okay. But the free gathering I'm holding on April 19th is going to be channeled, and it's going to be completely all about, being together in this moment where we are, again, supremely, I don't know why that word in particular is coming through, but that's what they're telling me to say. It's supremely, we are being supremely guided, supported, held to come purely, precisely into that resonance of the divine tuning fork that is us. So that, again, so that the song of the divine can reverberate, can sing as us, through us, in any moment, in every moment. That's who we are, and that's what we're here to be. Everything is that. Okay, so I just break it down a little more. And this also leads, I'm going to go on a little tangent because I'm very passionate about this topic. I just want to speak to a little bit in this video. Okay, so just to break down the Jupiter and Uranus components of why do I say, why is this related to divine tuning fork and divine song? So I was praying on this morning for, what what's the truth in this, and what are they wanting me to say about that? So at first my mind was thinking, oh, maybe Uranus is the divine song of existence, because I associate Uranus with the intelligence of the divine. And in my praying, it was immediately no, 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 uh-uh. Uranus is a conduit. It is like an ultimate divine conduit of the song of the divine, but we all are, right? Or Uranus just happens to hold a particular valence that's especially potent in being able to do that. And then so the song of existence is existence itself. There's no one thing that, contains all of it. I mean, we all contain all of it, but it's more that we are conduits of it. Again, Uranus in its own way is its own divine tuning fork, just like we are, just like everything is. But it has a quality to being like a mega ultimate conduit of divine song vibration. And then it's coming together in the same part of the sky. It's meeting, so that the vibrations are creating a joint song, in a sense, with Jupiter. And in typical way of thinking of Jupiter, Jupiter expands anything and accentuates, expands anything that it's coming in contact with. So it's going to expand this quality of Uranus as being this conduit and kind of like grounding rod of the ultimate divine truth, the ultimate divine song of existence. Okay, but here's where I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's a really important, I'm so passionate about this. All right. And some of you have been part of this that I'm about to talk about. So I'd love any and all of you to jump in and say anything you want to say, including those of you who haven't been part of this. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about. In the Astrology 101 course that I'm holding this year, last week, something dawned on me. I don't know how it hadn't dawned on me sooner, but it hadn't. Again, divine timing. And my perception of astrology, of life, of the planets, of our relationship to the planets took a huge, it's like I suddenly put on something put on the brakes, and I went like, whoa. And it was like this big, realignment, in a sense, which is very, very, very much the energetic of eclipses and of Uranian transits. So probably shouldn't be surprising, but it was suddenly like, wait a minute. How has this not been obvious to me before? Okay, so here's what dawned on me. And there's so much more to this, but I'll just give the brief version. Over the past, I don't know, however many thousands of years, certainly in the last hundreds of years, on many, 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 many levels, we have had as humans, we've had a relationship to ourselves, to life, to the earth, to all kinds of things, but including the planets, including astrology, that has been quite dishonoring of the truth of life, and very, extremely dishonoring of our genuine voices. And then I'll say more about this in a second, but also what dawned on me is that we've been in a relationship with the planets in a way that has been dishonoring of them. Okay, so again, this is like, could be a many day conference, just, or years long conversation, which probably we will all have, because this is suddenly really important to me. And I'm guessing to many of you, if you have thought of it, or maybe you'll be thinking of it now, and suddenly, anyway, this is very, very alive for me, and something I'm going to be doing a lot in my work in the coming months and years, and probably maybe the rest of my life. Okay. So, okay, here's what's, suddenly so clear, is that we know that we have been in a time where our relationship to the planet Earth has been awful, destructive, very, very, very dishonoring of her, very dishonoring of ourselves, very dishonoring of what's actually in service to life, all of that. We know, of course, we've been in a time where it's very destructive regarding uh, racial injustice, gender discrimination, you name it, all of these horrific atrocities, environmental injustice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So we've been in a time, bottom line, where where life has been objectified and life has been taken advantage of and exploited. Okay. Again, I could go on and on, but I think we're probably on the same page about that. So that seems like enough to say to that. But then here's the part that was new for me. Suddenly got it. Oh my God. We've been doing the same thing to existence. We've been doing the same thing in astrology to the cosmic beings, the planets, the asteroids, etc. We have, in a sense, decided to have a certain narrative about these beings, and we have interacted with these beings in a way that was in line with our chosen reality about them, but not actually listening to them. So for example, okay, so in the course, in our course last week, one of the participants told this story, and I'm gonna assume it's okay. I'm saying hello to the person who told this story, and I'm assuming it's okay to tell this story. So basically, bottom line, there's this story of a dog who was in a shelter and couldn't get adopted. Like, and nobody wanted to adopt this dog, and this dog was cowering in the corner, and really just really sad and lonely and scared. Okay. So long story short, a person was dedicated, who was dedicated to helping these animals. He went and realized that this dog is actually very sweet. This dog is, there's nothing wrong with this dog. This dog, deserves a good home and would be great in a good home, et cetera, and couldn't figure out what in the world is going on and why does nobody want to adopt this dog. Okay. Bottom line. Turns out the dog's name was Venom. And this person realized, wait a second, this is not cool. Nobody's going to adopt a dog named Venom, and this dog does not deserve to have the name Venom. So he had the shelter change the name to Honey. And he started treating this dog like it as the being that it is. sweet and kind and gentle and loving. And guess what happened? Of course, the dog's personality over time, the dog felt safe suddenly, right? And seen and cared for and wanted and acknowledged. So of course the dog started to relax, and people would come and interact with this dog as honey, not as venom. And the dog, was adopted and blah, blah, blah. Okay. You get the point. And I used to be an adoption social worker. So this story particularly touches me and upsets me because I saw the same thing in the child welfare system, I don't know, countless times, where not identical. It's not, not that I would on purpose change a child's name so they became adoptable. That's not the point. It's not that concrete. But so I worked in the foster care system, and for many, many years, my job was to find good homes for children, often who were deemed unadoptable. Duh. First of all, that's a terrible term. It should never be applied to anybody ever. But it's used, which in and of itself is just awful. That's a different subject. But the point is that I also was a therapist, and I specialized in trauma and attachment. So what I would do is work with the parents, work with the caregivers, work with the child, and over time figure out what the child needed to basically go from, being perceived as venom to being perceived as honey or whatever. Again, it's overly simplified, but I cannot express how often I would walk into a situation or get a new case or whatever it is, and there would be times where I would be so upset by what I was seeing that I would have to, I'd be like reading a new case, and I would have to get up from my desk and walk around the building to prevent myself from having a panic attack, actually. The one and only time in my life I've had panic attacks is when I was in that job because of the extreme atrocities I saw, just beyond. And not only the atrocities of the actual abuse that these kids had gone through, but even almost worse for me was how often I encountered people who were supposed to be helping them not actually listening, not actually seeing or being with the real being of that child. And it was only once, I, or like somebody I was supervising or whoever, was able to connect with the real being, the actual true being of that child, that suddenly they came alive, right? And then people were able to connect with the real being that they were. And of course, it's not always that simple, okay, but it is that simple. It also is that simple. And so, for example, in the astrology course, starting this week, in the month of April, we're going to be focusing on Mars. Okay, so I've been doing research on Mars. And of course, Mars has been considered a malefic for however long time. Mars and Saturn have been called malefics, which means bad planet. Bad, it means bad. Like mal is bad, right? And bad thing. Well, that sucks. We've been going around as humans calling this being, who is a planet very much like Earth, actually. If you look at the actual physical being, I found a really cool article by the BBC that compares various places on the planet Earth to Mars. And one place where I've been on this planet that is apparently very much like the body of Mars is Iceland. I love Iceland. I love it. It's one of my favorite places ever. Okay. And so one of the things we're going to be doing in the astrology course is I have these, NASA has, our machines have been to Mars, right? So there's lots and lots of footage, videos, and photos of the actual place. And so one of the things we're going to do is just be with the being of Mars. That's what we're doing with all the planets. But with Mars, we can actually really, really see it. Again, because human technology has gone there quite a lot. So, but it's just like with the planet Earth. She's alive and she's talking, and we feel her, right? So the same is true with everything. Why have we been labeling Mars, let's say, as bad? It, not helpful, no, no, right? We need to actually be with the being, the actual massive, it's an entire planet it's an alive being, just like the Earth is an alive being, just like we are part of Earth. We're literally part of Earth. We are alive. Mars is part of the same solar system, it's part of the same cosmos. Everything is alive. So it's like we haven't given these beings a chance to actually be who they are and be in relationship with us as who they actually are. And I'll just add one more piece to that. And the other thing that I've found when I've been doing this research on Mars is that in the course we're also we're including all the moons of each planet. I mean, the ones who have moons. And that's a whole thing in and of itself. That's amazing for me. I don't know any other astrology approach that includes the moons of the planets. If you know of them, I would love to connect with those people because this is really cool. So cool. For example, like when last month we were focusing on Neptune and Jupiter. Jupiter has 96 moons, four really, really large ones, including Ganymede, which is bigger than Mercury. Maybe it's bigger than Mars. And Callisto, which is the same size as Mercury. Anyway, this is a whole other story, but these are really significant beings who are revolving around these planets, and we ignore them completely. They are right there. They're a big part of, like, the energetic of Jupiter isn't just the planet Jupiter. It's the whole, the astronomers call it the jovial system. Jove is another word for Jupiter. And so in astronomy, Jupiter is considered this jovial system, not just the planet, right? So in astrology, why do we think of it only as this singular planet when actually it's this massive, it's almost its own solar system, Jupiter is. And Jupiter is actually made up of the same material as our sun. So it really, really, really is kind of a mini solar system. Okay, so I could go on a whole tangent with that. But and then Neptune's moons also so fascinating. Oh my goodness. And yeah, that there's so much more there too. But again, so Neptune also is like a whole system, but we think of it just as this one singular thing. It's not. So okay, so Mars has two moons, and there go the balloons. I guess we're celebrating the moons. Okay. So in the case of Mars, what's so interesting and so sad for me, but this is what we're going to be doing in the astrology course, and I'm really excited to do this with those of you in the astrology course, and then those of you not. I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts too. The two moons of Mars are called Phobos and Deimos. Okay, what does that mean? In Greek, phobos, like if you think the word phobic, phobia, it means fear or panic. So Mars, which is called a malefic, has one moon called panic or fear, and then Deimos, which is dread. Excuse me. So we're going around interacting with this being that we call a malefic or bad thing. And we've named its moons Panic and Dread. Really? Like, oh, wow. And maybe there's some kind of goodness in that. I don't know. If you can think of it, please let me know. I really have been trying to sit with, is there some wisdom in that? I mean, to me, it's just about as bad as calling a dog venom. Like, why would you do that? Why? Why in the world? What is helpful about that? And again, it's calling a dog venom to me is just bad and wrong. Mars having the moons called, Phobos and Deimos, maybe it's not entirely. I'm open to seeing other sides to this. But certainly what is absolutely the case is that as humans have been interacting with this planetary cosmic being, we absolutely have been projecting onto it all kinds of crap, all kinds of negative intensity and fear and anger, and we associate it with war, but war in not a good sense. Not that war has good sides anyway, but there are sides to the Mars energetic that are beautiful and that are about being a protector and about going out, in service, going out on an adventure, like a journey in service of the collective, in service of the greater good. And on and on. There's so much beautiful actually about Mars. And even in the way that we as humans have thought of it. And at the same time, we've really gotten focused on the fear and the malefic qualities of it, right? This bad qualities of it. So what if we let that go? What if we I'm not saying we necessarily need to change the name of Mars or its moons. I'm not saying we don't, but I'm not saying we do either. That's not really my point. It's not so much about the naming. It's more about, well, and maybe it is partly, but for me, it's more about letting go, even for a moment, of our notions about these beings, about ourselves, about everything, and just being present, the actual truth. Again, coming back to the actual divine song that is ourselves, that is these planets, that is this planet Earth. That's everything. That's what we're being held to do in this time. I just feel it, I feel so passionately about this. And then the last part of what I'll say about that regarding the astrology course also, but I think it's relevant to everything, is that what I was not expecting at all, but what dawned on me last week and what we ended up doing was I felt really called to hold basically a radical forgiveness I want to say journey. Bottom line, I channeled for all of us in that group an experience of radical forgiveness. So what ended up coming through in the channeling was for each person individually, and then us as a collective. First, we were each surrounded by a circle of beings, benevolent beings, who held each of us individually, and they asked our forgiveness. And this relates actually to the tuning fork idea, because again, we each are this divine tuning fork of existence, right? And and we've been living all these existences where labels have been placed on us, names have been given to us, sometimes that resonate with this divine tuning fork that is us, and sometimes that doesn't. We've had lots and lots of experiences, various traumas, various, good, beautiful things, and various very difficult things. And in a lot of cases, 90-something% probably of humans have a sense that we need to hide that divine tuning fork that is ours, that is who we really are, right? We've hidden it, I would say, even from ourselves a lot of the time. And so a part of being held in this time to release the gunk, the dirt, the whatever that's been stuck to the divine tuning fork that is us, a key component in that feels suddenly to me like that part of it is essentially existence asking forgiveness. Because we have been we've been in a time of forgetting. And in the time of forgetting, it's been really, really difficult. A lot of the time has been extremely painful. And we've, in the time of forgetting, it's like we've put on cloaks so that that divine tuning fork has been, hidden from ourselves, hidden from the world, hidden on various levels. And it's been really, really, really hard a lot of the time. So what it felt to me like was that the existence needed to ask forgiveness, because that's part of the key of turning the lock, putting the key in the lock to unlock all those cloaks to come off and all the dirt to release. Super powerful for me. I'm guessing for other people as well. And I really would invite you to, feel into yourself if something like that feels right for you, maybe to even just give to yourself, or again, sign up for the free gathering on April 19th. And I don't know exactly what's going to come through in that, but there might be a component of that in there. And then what we did, this is the last part I'm going to speak to, then what we did is then once this existence essentially asked us for forgiveness for ourselves not being seen, not heard, not valued, and all of that, then we went to the planets, and we formed a circle around Jupiter and then around Neptune, because those are the two planets we were focused on last month. Those are the first two planets we did in the course. This month is our second month with these planets. So this month we're going to be focused on Mars, and we'll do a similar kind of sort of ceremony with Mars in our workshop on Thursday. But what we did is we formed a sacred circle around the being of Jupiter, the jovial system, and then same with Neptune and its moons and its whole system, right? And we held sacred space basically in the same way that existence did for us, where we asked forgiveness, that these beings have been not seen, not heard, not valued, not recognized and honored for who they really, truly are. basically the divine, that we haven't honored the divine being, the divine song that is these beings, right? Just like we haven't been honored through this time of forgetting. But now we're in a time of profound remembering. That's the whole entire point. So, to kind of bring this all to conclude, I think you get the point here, is that it's like dawning on me, oh wow, this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is holding it, it is like its own tuning fork, and it's holding this vibration, it's holding this, like, if you imagine like a tone that like doo, in its own way, right? It's like sounding this doo. Like if that's the tone of Uranus in a sense, it's like Jupiter's coming along with its own tone, like doo. And then the two are coming together and they're going doo. I can't do two sounds at the same time, but you get the idea. And they're going to create this harmony, like when they come together. And then that particular tone, that particular quality is then sounding, it's vibrating in this divine tuning fork that is each of us individually and collectively. But as it's toning, it's like it's strengthening, and it's helping to shake off. It's like the sound is going through, it's reverberating through the being that is us, and then the dirt can just fall away, can just fall off, and all those cloaks can just go. I'm getting chills. So it's what we're here to do. This is the time. Like, this is it. That's what it feels like to me. It's like, yeah, this is we are the remembering, like, period, the end. Like, that's it. That's what we're here to do. Yeah. And then I'll just say one more kind of final point on that, which is people talk a lot about the time of remembering that we're in and all of that. But I hear a lot of people say it in a way, not everybody, but a surprising number of people, I hear it in a way that sounds like the time of remembering is still out there, in a sense, like we need to try to get there. Yeah, that doesn't feel good for me. It's like when we're in this, thinking of it as being something other than right now, then we're not there. We are there. This is it. This is the moment. This is the time of remembering. We are remembering right now, like precisely right now, especially April 2024. Like, if there's any time when we're in the time of remembering, it is right now. Truly, 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 each in our own ways, in our own timing, in our perfect divine timing. Yeah, but this is the time right now. Beautiful. Great. Okay. And so, yeah, so please sign up for the April 19th, April 19th gathering. Again, you're welcome to be there live. I would love to have you there live, but you're very welcome to listen to the recording. It is free. Also, if you want to go back and listen to, I have now made 2 parts of the tips for a highly Uranian time. I definitely recommend you go back and listen to those. I'm going to be putting out a 3rd one sometime probably in the next few days. I will listen and tune in to when the timing is right. I'm guessing it'll be later this week, or at the latest, hopefully early next week. But I think later this week. So there'll be a part 3, and And then we'll have the free gathering on April 19th as well. So it kind of be like that free gathering, in a sense, you could think of like part 4, but you don't need to have listened to the other ones to come to the free gathering. Please, the free gathering is its own tone in and of itself, right? But certainly if the tips for a highly Iranian time videos call to you, they're available, and they're on my YouTube channel, and they're free, of course, too. Those might feel really grounding and helpful for you right now, along with all the other videos. And that's really the last point. Is this, it's extremely important right now to be staying grounded, to be deeply listening to ourselves, just moment by moment by moment, because this time, I can feel it in my own being. It so powerfully has the potential to be grounding us, like aligning us, boom, straight into earth and straight into this divine song that is us, the divine tuning fork that is specific to you. So the potential is so powerful in such a positive way. And again, I'm feeling it in myself. It's like, like it's the vibration of it is so, so, so beautiful and so strong. Uh, and this can be absolutely a time of feeling very ungrounded and thrown off. So please do whatever you need to do. Listen to your being, listen to your body, follow your own guidance about what is right for you in this time. Lots and lots. I have lots of recommendations and ideas about that. But you can go back and listen to the tips for highly Iranian time videos. I'll put out the part 3 very soon. And certainly access any of the other supports that I offer. And come to the free gathering on April 19th. Okay. All right. That was a lot. And I think that's all I feel called to say right this minute. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this feels good and supportive for you. I hope you join me on April 19th and be in touch anytime. I would love to, if you like this video, please click like. I'd love to hear your comments. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please, 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 please subscribe. Really, that really helps me on many levels. So please do that if you enjoy these videos. Yeah. And I will see you soon. All right. Sending big hugs in this beautiful, massive, pivotal time of remembering who we are, who you are. Thank you for being here. See you soon.